And if it has to end, at least I go out like this, being Batman.
Quick heads up, this review will have spoilers. Okay, I know I've been talking about DC animated content far too frequently of late, but I promise it's going to end with this movie.
I know exactly who you are. Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
Okay, after that TV show, I'll go back. Okay, I guess I'm just a DC animated YouTube channel now. But yeah, I just went on a marathon watching the DC AMU Tomorrowverse Crisis on Infinite Earth trilogy. And I have to say, against all the odds, that last film surprised me. But before I step on that, I'll start with part 1. And on a rewatch, if I was to praise this film for anything, we finally got to see some Barry Allen love in these animated films. As I mentioned in the Tomorrowverse video I did, that Justice Society film should have just been the Flash movie. And even with the inclusion and introduction of the multiverse and Psycho Pirates in that movie, deletes that movie from my mind and existence, this film still works without it. And why did you not just make that Flash film his own movie and his relationship with Iris, and also using that movie as an avenue to explore the multiverse and make it like his own Judgment movie, maybe like how Constantine got with House of Mystery, or make the whole thing like this Amazo thing with the Justice League Year 1 film, rather than rushing the introduction of all of that in this movie. And as much as I do love this film and also the inclusion of the Flash bits, I personally thought those were the better parts of this movie. Him time slipping, the Justice League with Amazo, introducing the pending doom by destroying the crime syndicate, and showing us the severity of that danger. It ends up being this Flash movie layered on that Justice League banner, that Justice League name. And after we settle with all of those Barry time slipping and everything, we finally do our crisis event. But wait, we gotta include more Barry Allen in this, it's not enough. But as annoying as it was, I just know it had to do with the reason why this entire universe ended so quickly and they had to kill it off, and I'll give them a pass for that. And also because this film was bearable, as the Barry Allen parts were the parts of the movie that did hold it up. Seeing the formation of the League, his wedding, him and Iris, but anything outside that, like the heroes just interacting, it's cool to see the whole Bat family, don't get me wrong, but I personally felt that it was just shoved in there. I loved it, but just that whole see all the heroes from all these different Earths, I know that's the whole appeal, the whole reason why you want a crisis event thing, but I just did not care as much as I thought I would. Especially, maybe it's just the second viewing thing. I'm like, give me the Flash story instead, ironically.
I was like, damn nigga, what you doing out here with all this ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
But a couple things I found dumb and maybe fascinating was, firstly, did Batman for the long Halloween, did he have brain damage or something? Because okay, the whole Dick situation and not wanting to like incorporate him in his life and him just wanting to focus on crime fighting, I can understand it. You're free to explore your new version of Batman. But him hinting on wanting to kill Green Arrow for knowing his identity, to be fair, that could just be his dark humor. But like, this guy was also just planning to drop bombs on Central City and hoping the Flash and the other League members would just help evacuate it. It just felt very off-brand for like a Batman character. And also the crime syndicate, are they all dumb? Was their brilliant plan just to hit an energy beam as hard as they could? Does that even make sense? And finally, the whole Barry and Iris slowing down time thing. I know I'm watching a fictional movie, superheroes are not real and everything, but how do you stop time and you still age? How do you stop time and you have time to still sleep and make breakfast? How do you stop time and you even have the time to cook? Please make it make sense. Then the second part, I do not really want to say too much from this movie because it's a huge drop off from the first part. And what my main issue from this is that what the DC AMU has been, even extending to some of the DC AU films, there was never any need for filler because these films are usually cheaply produced and just make every second count. And you think the chance that they have to tell a story for over 4 hours, they would still adopt that method of making every single second count. Unfortunately, it did not pass over to this movie, because tell me why we spent that first part with the whole Flash story and journey and everything to introduce this multiverse, introduce Supergirl, introduce Psycho Pirates briefly, but here we'll just do another character focus again, and in this Justice League movie, we'll just move the actual League to the C plot of the film. I love the way the film starts with the whole Bat family and introducing the Joker in the Crisis Trilogy. Love the Joker voiced by Troy Baker.
Missed. Oh, I know what you're thinking, Batsy.
And I also love seeing this brain damaged Batman trying to fit in with this family that he doesn't want to deal with. But as soon as we get into this movie, let me start with Kara. As soon as we get into the Supergirl part of this film, what's the point? Why do we do this re-origin of Superman but just to pad up the runtime? Because we never even hear of this relationship with her and the Monitor in the Legion film. We never see her go back to meet the Monitor. And I understand you want to create this sort of relationship between them for what happens at the end of the movie and what she goes through in that third part. But like The Flash, why wasn't the Legion of superhero films just that Supergirl movie? Just make it a Supergirl movie and do that. And also Psycho Pirate. But considering how he was a villain here, I do not really want to bash on his inclusion. But a whole origin story for him is crazy, especially since after his B villain role here, he just gets beaten off camera in the next film. Just think it was all a wasted opportunity because we could have focused on maybe even Wonder Woman that never even had the opportunity to get her own film. Compare that to The Flash or Supergirl or even the Psycho Pirates and all of that, especially since we see her sacrifice herself in the last movie. And it just felt like a very weightless way to kill off her character. And this second part just drops glimpses of her saying she feels sad to be immortal. Could you not have paired her up with Superman or even the Monitor or even her mother in the Mascara in that universe and just use it as a way to really show depth with her character rather than these 1 minute clips of her not accomplishing anything, not seeing her accomplish anything, not seeing her grow. But I did like some of the filler here. I thought the Kamandi story, for example, with him and Solivar, I did have fun with that. And I also love the inclusion of the Question and him being this detective in the midst of everything, probably thinking the whole end of the universe thing was a dud. See, this movie, I just feel like we lost the whole charm and connection that we got in that first phase of the DCMU. We got glimpses of it in the first part, but on here, for a part supposed to be with filler, it did a horrible job at dumping that filler. But it did nail the ending with the whole Constantine being involved in the next part. And that was like the only thing that made me excited to watch part 3. And I don't even know if I'm in the minority of people that actually liked part 3. I was thinking it was going to need a miracle to pull it off, but luckily they had a miracle machine. And I really enjoyed this. It felt a bit like an Apocalypse War approach. We start with a time jump and progress by getting a missing character. Then we're down on our knees, society has crumbled, and we have to act fast or we lose everything. And Lex helps us. Sound familiar? And it's funny how out of all the 3 parts, I know we see a couple glimpses here and there in the other 2 movies, but this was the one that was heavily throwing in those cameos. Like these guys pull up and in my mind, I'm like, surely not. They're not gonna all of a sudden see that these guys are the losers and introduce them here. And it's crazy because they actually did it.
Hey, who are you?
Nobody important, ma'am. We're just a bunch of losers.
You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
That one shocked me because isn't that like them putting the Watchmen in this or something? I don't know, it was just crazy to me. Also on the talk of crazy, we finally get to see a version of the Legion of Doom, and I was even starting to forget that that group existed. And what's crazier is that I guess this is the Long Halloween Two-Face, but did he also get brain damage? Because I was talking about how I preferred this anti-hero vigilante type of Two-Face to the Legion of Doom one, and they just make him associated with this group. Although to be fair, they did help save the world. But the one thing I do love about this film is that it did what it was supposed to do, and it was a Justice League movie. We actually see the League do something to help move the film forward, and not just origin stories that should have been done before this movie even started. We are not just being closed into one story for one guy or this random story of these 2 people. We actually see this film work together and them work together. We finally get to see like a more complete Bat family work together and Batman warm up to them, and that progresses to a Justice League Dark-like team where we see how they connect the first phase of the DCMU to this Tomorrowverse phase. And it's crazy how dark we see DC gets, because remember how in Infinity War they brought up the possibility of killing baby Thanos. They freaking killed baby Darkseid in this. And what's even crazy is how I even felt bad for the guy. But I did not appreciate how they took the phase 1 art style and tried to mend it and blend it with the Tomorrowverse. It was kind of disgusting. They also did it with some of the cameos, which was pretty annoying, especially if you're a fan of those older TV shows. But it was cool to see more story of that first phase of the DCMU and how they used the crisis events to create this one singular continuity, which will possibly be the James Gunn one, but we'll see. And back on my dumb and fascinating segment, this film felt very comic booky. Just a bunch of heroes standing in a circle. All hope is lost and we need a miracle. And all of a sudden, Batgirl remembers that Kara said something about a miracle machine. I guess John Jones and this random hero just zip back and go get it. I mean, great. Wasn't that supposed to be a hidden and locked up piece of tech? Also, the Joker is just out there. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's just bothered by the fact that he's just there, free. I also love to see the Batgirl and Supergirl bond. I just always love to see these sort of interactions and her just trying to cheer her up and everything after she just murdered the Monitor in the last movie. And finally, is Superman an idiot?
No. We'll find a way to bring back the worlds we lost. We can't just give up on all those people. We can't.
What does he mean everyone is going to die? They literally just mentioned that everyone will be fused to form a prime version of themselves. Guy just spills out nonsense sometimes. Overall, I feel this third film will have its haters as it was just too little too late. But I think it was a good way to conclude this chapter of DC animation and definitively end the DCMU and start something new. But yeah, after my binge of the whole Crisis trilogy, it was a shame that the DCMU had finally had a chance to do this whole big event with the opportunity to also have this longer run to help us connect to the characters more and everything, but he just spent most of that time literally chasing shadows. But I personally really enjoyed the conclusion and it surprised me, but I don't know if it was just because this was my first time watching it and a rewatch would kill it for me, but I guess we'll never know. Thank you for watching this video. Can't wait to see where James Gunn takes DC in live action and animation. What did you think of the Crisis trilogy? Thank you again for watching and hopefully I'll see you in another video.
I'm trying to get closer, closer. Baby, you holla, let me be your coaster. Sipping you slow, you feel the motion.